So hello, this is the Alkalise to Realize talk show, and today we have a special guest. Her name is JacQuel.
JacQuel.
I always mess up your name. But yeah, we have JacQuel. She's just an amazing person. Just everything about her is great. So yeah, you can tell us a bit about yourself, JacQuel.
Thank you, Soully, so much. Likewise, we're all a reflection of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just in this crazy journey of life, like growing, transforming, and realizing that I am just an electromagnetic human being that,
Yeah.
I'm here to go through tribulations in life. And I've been through the worst of tribulations, I have found self-discovery, self-love, which was something that a lot of people don't know that they sometimes lack.
Yeah.
And I transformed and completely did a transformational healing in myself, with a lot of work and also with the work of some plant medicine.
Yeah.
And now I'm just, facilitating energy healing and sound healing. I'm a holistic musician, do poetry, and a transformational life coach, psycho-spiritual, specializing in addiction recovery and psychedelic integration. And I am here just in this journey trying to gravitate to people and just lift each other up.
Yeah, definitely. So you said you're a holistic musician. So
Yes.
What does that mean?
So I used to sing in rock bands.
Yeah.
I've been doing music for quite some time. Like music, it's just my biggest medicine of all. I started just singing covers in bands, and from there I started writing, became a songwriter, and my journey was I was used to write music about just negative stuff like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right?
Yeah, definitely.
My negative transformation, and it was really great and entertain a lot of people, and it's just a lot of release actually in these negative songs that I used to sing about rage and just being angry, the typical music that
Yeah, I see.
we listen, and sometimes it's just us cleaning up and frustrating, and it's a beautiful history of your life. And now after my awakening and decision to live my life helping others and heal, I utilize now the music in a more holistic way. So what I did, I do sound baths, spiritual sound baths. I have crystal singing bowls, Tibetan bowls. I have these really interesting instruments, and that I play, and I write music specifically for trying to get you in a healing state, where I can touch your heart, and maybe cry, you close your eyes, and so it's more holistic in that sense.
Yeah. Now I see. Yeah, and I can really see how you said music helped you a lot because you're a water sign, you're Scorpio, and I feel like with music it's emotions. It's like the emotions. That's what music is. That's where it roots from, your emotions. So, and I feel like music really touches your emotion. Your emotion body, and your emotion body is water. So I can really see how music affects you, for the good or the bad. Yeah. But that is dope. That is amazing that you're making this good music, because that's what I do myself too. Like me, I'm like a conscious rapper. With the Gemini energy, we're really good with words. So yeah, that's what I like doing. Like I make conscious rap because I listen to the stuff, like the rubbish that they give us, and it's just all low vibrational, and they have an agenda that they're wanting to put us under. Like all the music is how they get their messages out there. Like this is how they devalue the feminine energy. It's just all bad. So yeah, I prefer making my own music. Yeah. I agree. I feel you.
Absolutely, I agree so much. And because music, it's like the emotions, which emotions are energy in motion, and waters are like sound. They just penetrate our vibration torus field, and we are about 70% water. So immediately that water is just being moved and shaped, and it's like the sacral chakra, which is like sexuality, as you said. Music is just, it's muse, right? Like music,
it's movement.
it comes from the word muse as
Muse.
inspiration. So music is inspiration and so healing, and it's so incredible, heart touching that they, you know, manipulate people. You can use it for, like, as everything in the world, everything, there's no good or bad. You can use things for bad intentions or good intentions. So it's easy to make music to subliminal,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. I see.
like
Yeah,
put a
because
spell on someone,
yeah.
or, you know,
Hmm.
for bad
Yeah.
intentions.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, there is, like you said, no, there is no duality. Like, there is like hate, there's no hate or like, what I'm trying to say is they kind of all the one and the same thing. Just as this, I like this analogy, you know, like what, like cold and heat, like they're on the same, they're technically the one and the same thing, because there's like this thermometer, and you can either be hot or cold, and you know, but you know, it's all on the same like scale, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, they're just different degrees of one another. Like, they're just different degrees, I guess is what I'm saying.
I absolutely agree. I know exactly what you're saying. It's just because we need one another. It's like the feminine energy and the masculine need each other for perfect balance. And people get caught up maybe in this duality, you know, and that's when, you know, there's like these wars against feminine, you know, the masculine, and the man wants to dominate the women. And the women are becoming,
Yeah,
you know, the man is like just dominating, controlling women, just being empowered, and they
yeah,
are not embracing their divine feminine, and vice versa with women. They just become too rebellious with it. They're like, now we're gonna independence, and like they just want to
yeah.
control man. And there's the bossy women that are just not embracing, like just over take
Over masculinated.
yes, exactly. So
Yeah,
there's
they're
no
not
balance in the two.
not embracing their feminine energy, you know.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's important to embrace them both equally in a very balanced manner, so you know when to use your beautiful, like, dark side, which is feminine,
yeah,
dark energy, or, you know, when you have to step up, because also being too feminine, like overly, and you don't have the masculine within you,
yeah,
it's passive. It's just passive, and it's like you
exactly.
don't stand up for yourself. It's like you're like, you should be able to like project yourself as a powerful being.
I agree with you, definitely. That's balance is important. Balance is key, you know. I feel like that's kind of one of the issues with the new age people, you know, they're just really passive, you know, they're all about peace and just like peace, like no violence or anything. But you know, it's like, don't be stupid. Like, it's necessary to have the sword next to you just in case, if it comes to you protecting yourself, you know. Yeah, like,
Absolutely, I
all
agree.
about balance. Yeah,
And when that, I'm glad you mentioned that, because with that comes judgment, right? It's like these, so like there's some people who think they're so spiritual and that they become judgmental, like, oh my god, you are not like what you're saying. It's like, we listen, we're here to like go through this pain. We're here to like maybe go through the addictions and
yeah,
not
learn.
overcome, to get your hands dirty, to
Yeah,
cry, you know, to fall, to fail. It's okay to fail. And, you know, we're only learning. That only makes you a more powerful being, because then you have
oh, yes,
things to share and teach others, like
definitely.
experience, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what the soul wants to do. You know, it just wants to experience and grow and expand its horizons. The soul doesn't see good or bad. You know, it just sees growing through lessons and experience. And that's the thing that people get confused nowadays. There is like the universe is always on your side. Like, it's never really trying to punish you. Like, every lesson that comes to you, there is like a lesson that's meant to be learned from that experience, you know. Like, no matter how dark something might seem, if you look close enough, you'll see and you'll realize that there is a lesson for you to extract that'll help you with your soul growth. Definitely. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
That is beautifully said. I agree so much. And just to know that we're here precisely to go through that experience and to, you know, like just go through it. And that's the problem, is that people were suppressing all these traumas. And that's what I specialize with my coaching, is that, you know, we're escaping, right? We're just suppressing the emotions, because
Definitely.
we
Yeah,
have this like stigma that we can't cry, or we can't like, oh, I'm perfect. Like, hey, it's okay to have a bad
yeah,
day.
yeah,
And
we have to be tough, but toughness is the ability to express your emotions. So you
then,
running away from your emotions, you're not being tough. Like,
yeah, it's like, and you grow up like that, and you feel like, oh, it's like, especially with men, it happens like they can't cry. They tell them, oh, fuck up, you know, like don't cry. And with women too, but just then they grow up with this mentality. They can't cry because they're not macho man, and you know, it's just like to let go of all this judgment and just be you and say, hey, you know, we're human beings. Act like what we are, human beings with emotions, meant to go through this like experience and have a story to tell.
Yeah, so I was gonna, touch back on the judgmental thing that you were talking on. You know how you were talking about a lot of people today with the new age are just so judgmental, like, oh, he's doing that, or like, I'm just so high vibration, I would never do it. I feel like, see, that's like a big it shows us that you yourself aren't conscious enough, or at least conscious the way you say you are, because if you were, then you would understand that ultimately we're all one and the same thing. It's like what you see in me, you see in yourself, and you can't really judge others from that coming from that place, because you can't be judgmental because you don't judge yourself, and you don't really, it's like your mind doesn't think like that, so that thought wouldn't even come to you. The fact that they're small-minded or whatnot, because I guess in a sense you just focused on yourself or whatever. Yeah.
Wow, that was so well said. And it's just a projection, right?
Yeah, all projections.
You know what it is? And it's funny because I see it now so differently, because it's a step. It's like when I see those people now, I'm like, wow, you still have some more to go, because when we're awakened, we first go through realization. Like we realize the truth, right? That's the first. Second, you go through the cognitive dissonance where you want to accept it or not, and you're battling with that until you either overcome that, your ego. I apologize, my bird is so loud.
Yeah.
my African gray is my baby.
Yeah.
So we go through the stage where we're angry. Okay, so either the ego just puts in your head no, and then you're like, I'm not going any further, or you're like humble down and you accept, and then you go through this sorrow. There's a stage of sorrow where it puts you through the dark night of the soul. So where you just like accept it, it's true. You're like, wow, this is crazy, and you just like taking it all in, right, integrating it, and then there's a step where you start taking action, and you're like, then you start working on yourself. You start changing your patterns, your habits. You're working on them. You're cleaning your act. You start eating a little more healthy. You start, eliminating the bad people around you that, you start like changing as a person. Like, oh, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
No. And then, but there's a stage where you just get ahead of yourself. And then you start seeing everyone like, oh, because you're not done. So you're like judging people because you're projecting. And it's a reminder of either who you were, or that there's still something in there that needs to be worked with. And it's showing you the universe always projecting with people. It's like we're mirroring each other.
Yeah,
so it's
definitely
reminding you. And they just judge, rather, instead of seeing it, you judge the person and you think that you're above them. So you have to just like go up in the mountain. It's not for you to stay up there meditating forever. You're supposed to come down from the mountain and bring people with you. And when you come and bring people with you, you go through the stage of deep healing where you reach unconditional love. And that's something that people don't
That's the heart chakra.
Because when you unconditionally love human beings, you don't ever see that anymore. You just actually feel compassionate. You're like, wow, they're going through this stuff that I've been through, and you just want to comfort them. And it's a beautiful state. It's a process. It's a big growing thing, the awakening.
It really is. Definitely, I agree with you on the... There it is again, the thought, it just flew away.
The bird, like, woo, like, woo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just move on to the next topic or something.
I keep muting. I apologize. It's my bird is going off now that he knows it's right here. We're chatting. He wants to hop in this conversation. So he's just talking.
Yeah, and communicate with this.
Talk.
Yeah, it sees the beautiful energy and it's like, I want in.
Exactly, because he's like on the moment, like he's more like in the state of being than anyone. Animals are always in the best state, in innocence,
Yeah.
purity.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I think I was just talking about that earlier with a friend of mine. I was just talking about how, the animals, because with me, whenever I you know, think of like adopting like a new way of life or like philosophy, I was in a sense like with the urine therapy thing, like when Lee brought that up to me, I was just like I was skeptical. I was like, drinking your own pee, like what are you talking about, but as a Gemini, I'm really open-minded, and I'm not really closed-minded or anything. So yeah, I just asked questions, and then the question that he answered that got me convinced in a sense was, I asked him, I was like, well, does this happen in nature? And he's just sent me pictures of like animals drinking their urine, and I was like, I'm convinced, I'm sold, because it's like definitely like the animals, they don't have free will just like we humans do, but the animals, they kind of have like, they have this will that they must complete on this planet, like the way I like to perceive it is where the earth is an organism, and we're like the cells in the organisms, and every species is like like an organ in a sense, and the animals are doing their part, and every other species is doing its part except for some human beings, but some of them, we're like have become cancer cells, they're like destructing the planet and just all this stuff. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
awesome. It's
It's
all, yeah, it's all symbolic to our the internal external. Also, what I was gonna say earlier was, how you were talking about the changing of the way you start perceiving. I think you were talking about, I don't know what it was, but I remember this is what I wanted to say. I was gonna be like, I definitely agree, because it's like once your mind starts changing, your world starts changing, and this is why once you accept yourself unconditionally and start loving yourself, that's all you are. So that's what you start expressing, externally, and the compassion, because now you have compassion for yourself, and you understand that you can't particularly be mad or judge yourself for the things that happen, because they're necessary, so you don't go around judging people. Yeah, that was like the thought, that the little bird that flew away.
nice. I'm glad it came back. It happens
Yeah,
and it comes right back. And you're so right about that. Like, definitely. Yeah. I'm glad your thought came back. It was a great one.
yeah. Glad it came back.
But yeah, with the judgment, it's just because every time that we're there standing in judgment, it's just a mirroring. It's all it is. The universe is like, here, this is what you got to work on today. It's like we're in this like little school of life, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like by judging, we're just rejecting and not accepting.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, rejecting the lesson.
oh my God, I didn't see that. Like when people critique something in someone, you're just seeing something that you need to work on, that you just refuse or you don't see. And you're gonna keep getting it and keep getting it until you like, wow, I got it. And then when
Yeah,
you reach that state of self-love, where it's just the most beautiful thing in the world, because you take self-love to love another. Like if you don't, if you're not authentic with yourself 100% and live your authentic being by, like lovingly, then there's something you're empty and you lack, and you're gonna see it in other people, and it's gonna bring jealousy.
yeah,
And it's
definitely.
because it's
Yeah,
lack of self-love. They say, oh yeah, I love you, but it's conditional, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
but you have to be perfect. If I do have to be, I love you, but not if you do this. Like, no, like we should love everyone because we're brothers and sisters. Like we're one, like you said. And I love what you said about the organisms, how we're all a collective, because the ecology is so important. Like people, like even an insect, of and I used to hate pests, and I've come to this stage in my life where I appreciate every creature, because I say that the human species is the most destructive species in the earth. And we ought to be ashamed of ourselves the way we have destroyed the earth, because the nature and animal kingdom are extremely intelligent. They don't do nothing but maintain
exactly. Sustain.
and
Yeah,
especially the animals and the insect. For instance, the flies, they're nasty, right? Flies. People think like, wow, flies, like they shouldn't exist, but they have their own purpose. Like flies, they eat and consume the excess, you know, chemicals in the carcasses of animals, and even
Yeah,
like
and they convert it in a sense.
the one that because nature recycles everything, right?
Mhm.
But the remaining that the remaining that the earth cannot like completely mulch, these flies eat it up, and then these flies are food
Oh.
for frogs and for
Yeah.
and the grasshoppers, and that's what they eat, the flies. So it's a beautiful, like we need each other. Like these frogs, the lizards, they all need to eat the flies, and you know they had to eat the flies, and then the flies help with eating that. Yeah, they're nasty around us, so it shouldn't be around us, but doesn't mean that like they still have their purpose in life. Basically, all
Yeah,
creatures,
definitely.
everything does.
Yeah. Yeah, that takes me, yeah, the bug thing, you know. No, I've never, once I started awakening, you know, and I started realizing the importance of life, I treated all life equally as important, you know. Like if I seen a cockroach, I wouldn't be disgusted. Like I wouldn't touch it or anything, but I'd like, like, because I can really feel the energy, and I can feel like that cockroach is scared that I'm like kill it, and I would like talk to it like, I'm not gonna kill it, but can you please, like, you know, leave my space, and you know, have a little conversation with the cockroaches.
Yes, that's beautiful of you. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it all has a meaning too. Because if you really took, like, I am very shamanic and
mm-hmm.
indigenous healing. I love the indigenous modalities, and with spirit animal is very important to me. Every animal that comes around, if you see a pest,
Mm-hmm.
is a lesson there too. Like, why do I have a cockroach in my home? And like you say, you can talk to it. Why are you here? I don't. Please don't be here. Just leave. Like you don't belong here. You have your role is outside of my home.
Yeah.
But then you can integrate. What does that mean? Sometimes to the indigenous people, it means some sort of pest person, like an energy vampire, someone negative coming into
Oh
your life.
man.
It's like a sign of something happened. You know, like the animals, all even a spider and people. It gives me crazy when they kill spiders and stuff, because it can actually be bad karma to kill these spirits.
Yeah, that's what it's definitely like karma. That's one of the things that keeps me away from, you know, taking away life or whatever. Karma.
Absolutely. I actually speak to animals. Like I pick up like bees land on me, bumblebees and the birds. There's times where I just channel, and when I go on my hikes that I connect with a creature would come up to me. I've had some very miraculous, beautiful experience. And sometimes I see spiders and people get, oh my God, it's a weird spider's gonna bite you. But I just go with this, like, I almost talk to the creature.
Oh.
And I
Yeah.
said, I'm not gonna hurt you, baby. I'm just gonna pick you up and take you out. And you know, I pick it up thinking in my head, like in behind my head, oh my God, what if it
What are
fucking
you
bites
doing?
me and poisons me? I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And I go with trust, and I go and I put it out and say, go back in nature. And thank God nothing's ever happened. But it's
Yeah,
beautiful,
that's
it's
amazing. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like with the intuition and like, you know, this energy work, you kind of have to approach it like in a child nature, you know, like never attach any seriousness to it, but you know, kind of like just play with the energy and kind of just believe, because believe is everything. Just believe that it's gonna happen. Just like, you know, I think the little kids who play with their imaginary friends, they believe that they're there. You know, you got to be like a child with these things. Yeah.
You know, since you mentioned that, it's like this little secret that I feel like I have, but I'll share it with you. I used to do that. And what's funny is that I didn't know, but my mother would, she said she caught me. I would go in the closet, like, and I even thought it was weird at first. I was like, Mom, I was weird like that. She said, you would be in the closet talking, like in there in the dark, and I would hear you.
Wow.
And then she would open, Chica, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like all shy, like she caught me in something. But what are you doing? You're talking? Who are you talking to? Like she would ask, and I'm like, oh, my little water. I would call it. It was in Spanish then, muñequito de agua. I would call it like my little water dolls.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of creepy.
what is that? Like she told me that, and I kind of remember, and I'm like, wow, I must have been talking to spirits since a little child.
Yeah.
Sensitive, and
Yeah.
you know, and she thought that there was the problem with me, actually, because we don't grow up, some of us don't grow up in that kind of environment, like of empathetic energies, and you know, I grew up in more of like a Christian Catholic belief. So to my mom, she thought maybe, you know, I was kind of strange. I was always a little strange child. But I remember doing that, and I was like, I never forget about the little water dolls that I created in my
Yeah.
own mind.
Yeah, yeah, you know, it's like it's when we're children that we're really connected to source, because you know that's kind of where we just recently came from. It's only like as we grow up and we start getting programmed and all this stuff that we start disconnecting from, you know, who we truly are. So yeah, you definitely were, you know, talking to spirits, considering your Scorpion energy, and you know, Scorpio being really intuitive, really connected to, you know, just really connected to energy. Yeah, and you guys like just know things without people telling you, like you just know.
Oh my God, you telling me that? Like now that I've learned to like just love people unconditionally, but before my awakening, it was
Uh-huh.
horrible because when people would lie to me, I
You
know,
just
like I
knew.
always knew, and it would hurt me so much.
Yeah.
Scorpio, I was like, I know you're lying to me. And then people later on, like would tell me, you know what? Like they confess, like you, how did you know? You was like, you were always right. And I was like, I fucking feel it. Sorry for my language. I just felt it. I know things. Like I know the truth. I read people's vibes sometimes, and I almost feel like I know what they're thinking. Like it's so weird. Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
crazy.
that's how it's been like with me, you know, because like the Pisces energy, they are really intuitive, you know, and this and that. But it's just all about developing your talents, you know, your gifts. And that's like literally what I've been doing, like just going around and just reading people's minds. Like, I feel like it all started with me reading people's body languages. But it's cause, yo, look. So lately, I think it's been like a month, and I've like reunited with like my twin flame, and you know, with the twin flame template energy, it's like there's all this energy work. So me and her were really you know, telepathic and all this stuff, and like we're kind of like building it in a sense, you know, like through her we're kind of practicing, you know, our gifts and our talents, and we're strengthening it. So it's like when I'm talking to her, I'm like I can read her mind, and like I can speak for her, like I speak everything she's thinking. And it's like even like when I stop talking to her, this is still occurring, you know, like I can still read other people's minds. You know, this is just like it's just with me now. Like earlier I was meditating, and I felt like this energy, like a friend of mine that I texted, and I asked her about her sign, and then like because she told me she had two signs. In Vedic astrology she was a Cancer, and then in Western she was a Leo. And then I asked her which one she resonated with. While I was meditating, I felt like this she was gonna tell me that she resonated with both and whatnot, you know, and how she just resonated with both of them. And then for some reason I just felt like to open my eyes, and then like she messaged me, and I opened the message, and she told me this exactly. So I was like, you know, kind of picking up the frequencies, and I was just like, whoa. Like, yeah, you know, it's like the more you develop, the less it blows you away, because now it's just kind of like second nature.
It's amazing when that happens, right? Oh
Yes,
wow, Sully, that's
synchronicity.
amazing. I have those kind of synchronicity where I just like shocked. And you know, like with the signs too, like numerology, like I've been getting since my awakening 11 11. I see 33 now. I've been seeing the 33 for the past year. Everywhere is crazy the way I see it too.
33, 33.
33, 33, 33,
Do
and
you know
seven
what the significance of 33 or 30? Yeah, do you know?
is the master number. It's just means you're aligned with the true nature of your destiny, that
Ah,
you're making wise decisions, and that master ascended masters are with you, backing you up. And then seven being another master number, which is the number of God, actually. So
yeah.
like protected and blessed. But I heard you say that when you open your eyes, and that blows me away because
Yeah, like when I opened my eyes, she messaged me. Yeah,
spirit will talk to you, and the more you, it's like a muscle, right? The more you
you
practice
work it out,
exactly
the stronger it gets. Yeah.
the stronger it gets. It's a practice of your intuition, working with meditation, trying to envision things. I like that what you do with your the game that you do. That's so brilliant. I do that sometimes with my best friend too, Matthew, and he's actually a Gemini like you.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
he's a Gemini. He's my best friend. We get along so incredible.
That is great. That is good.
Do this a lot where we know, like sometimes I just speak and we both say at the same time, like we know, oh, I'll finish his sentence or he'll do mine. And it's because we're constantly working with these things and with meditation and practicing together, challenging our
Yeah,
psyche.
yeah. A lot of energy work, and it's like you guys being in that energy work together, your energies have kind of entangled in a sense, I guess we can say, and you guys are really familiar with one another's energies. Yeah, yeah, I see that. I get that. Yeah,
It's like intertwining, and becoming one, and
yeah,
like on a conscious level. It's beautiful.
it is. Yeah, yeah. And I feel like that's what we humans yearn for and want. For that connection, that deep connection. Oh, and that brings me to how earlier I think you were talking about how people are always trying to like fill that void within through like that void of love through external means, and like wanting people to hear the words I love you, from others, because they don't really have it within. And it's like, like your mind is always reflecting to you. So it's like the way you think is always going to reflect to you your reality. So it's like when you're thinking this way, you're coming from a place of lack. You're thinking you don't have love, so that's just what the universe is going to show you. It's only when you connect with yourself and you accept yourself and you love yourself can love start coming in. Because I feel like there has to be a flow. You have to give to receive. You have to give love to receive love. The energy is always constantly flowing.
Absolutely. And with that, it's very complex because, like, a lot of people, like especially when we do releasing type of work, or they want to release and get rid of something negative in their life. For example, they have someone in a relationship that was really detrimental, and they're like ready to let it go, right? For instance, okay, I'm ready to let it go, but then they let it go with hate. And they're like, well, fuck you, like I don't want you in my life, I let you go, you can burn in hell, you know what I mean? And I move
Dang.
on. That's not, the healing hadn't happened, because you're not moving on with love. You didn't learn the lesson because you're still hurt. You're just trying to escape. It just takes so much healing until you're like, it's supposed to feel like you look at that person and you're like, you hurt me so much,
Compassion, but I forgive you.
and I forgive you 100%.
Yeah,
Actually, you made me stronger. What you put me through, it's a story to tell now, and I've learned from it, and I thank you, and I let you go in peace and closure.
definitely,
It's
definitely.
so beautiful, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
That's how.
beautiful.
Now you see, and that's how I perceive it all. But I don't really perceive you as, I mean, I don't really perceive people as people anymore. I perceive them as like the universe, like you're the universe talking to me. I'm the universe talking to you, and that's how I see it. So yeah, it's like if someone does something bad to me, I'm like, what is the universe trying to tell me this time?
Yes, yes, and it's so true. And I'm like you. Like now, I don't even see people for their physicality anymore. Like I'm looking at them, and I talk to you, and I try to look at your eyes. I'm like, that's a soul right here. I see you as this avatar, like you said, the universe, like in a reflection. I'm like, what do you gotta tell me? Let's integrate, and what can I learn from you? What can I? And it's beautiful when you inspire them as well. Like and people need to start getting more like into their spirit, because it's like what you were saying earlier, how they look outside for healing, people, right? Like always looking for something external, and that's when addictions fall into the place. Like like if we have a trauma
Yeah, yeah,
as a child, teenager, adult, there's an emptiness, a void inside of our hearts, and deep inside that we're always seeking to fill it. So if we don't fill it with what we need, which is forgiveness, because it's forgiveness that heals. To me, the most
yeah,
powerful medicine is forgiveness, because
yeah,
once you forgive yourself, you forgive others. That's when
definitely.
you're like, oh yeah, I know he hurt me so much, but I love him and forgive him as a human being.
Yeah,
Like you just like, doesn't mean I need to be with a person again.
yeah.
That's making mistakes. We're
Mhm,
here to make mistakes. It's okay
definitely.
to make mistakes.
We're here
The
to
problem
learn.
comes when we start repeating. We can make a million mistakes in our lifetime. It's okay, as long as those mistakes are different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're
As
not
long
making
as,
the same, then we're stuck in insanity. If
yeah,
we're not learning the lesson, if we're just going in a
exactly.
spiral chase, like the dog chasing his tail. It's like we're just like, move on from that mistake.
Definitely, exactly. Yeah. It's it's like the lesson will stop showing itself once you learn it.
Absolutely, that is what it is. You won't see it anymore. I say this a lot, and I had something like that with a client where they think that they were healed, and but they encounter some of these triggers, right? And they were like, oh, and they would get mad. I get these triggers, and I'm like, well, how are you reacting to the trigger? Because the trigger can be many things. It could be either reminding you to look how far you've gone, like reminding you, wow, so you can reflect, wow, that's how I was. This is what I used to like. That's not who I am. And you become happy. But if it gets you mad and you're like, oh, I'm trying, then it might be reflecting something that maybe you haven't completely released.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
has anything to do with that particular. So it's important that we look at things from different perspective, different views, and just really analyze things. And because the universe is like this big, we're here to learn, and it's not going to be easy. It's like the Bible, for instance. Some people take it so literal, right? And it's like we don't know the twists that it has in it. So it's like this beautiful puzzle. It's like we're playing chess. It's
Yeah.
meant to be difficult. Why would it be easy for us? Like that would be no.
Yeah.
It's challenging us to see, because
Yeah.
we have a consciousness that the animal kingdom does not have for a reason. It means God put us with that consciousness, like, let's see what you can do. You're a powerful being. You have this thing here, this pituitary gland and this consciousness that not even the animal kingdom has. How are you going to utilize that?
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
we're meant to be challenged and break puzzles and put pieces together. It's not meant to be really easy. All this says this. No, it's break it down. It's a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I feel like, because like you say, life is like a school that we learn in. So I feel like we're never gonna stop learning, like we're never gonna stop healing. Like life throughout our whole life we're gonna heal. And like I like to use the like the Mayans, and like the old ci- intelligent civilizations that just vanished out of nowhere. I feel like what happened with them was they came to a point of just healed, like they were just done and they were just healed, so they were able to like ascend. Yeah, so I
Absolutely.
feel like your whole life you're just gonna be learning and learning and learning. So might as well embrace the learning because it's gonna.
Thank you. Yeah. And people think that you never reach, like, it's like till the day we die, right? In this physical plane, we're gonna be learning and continue to work on it. It's like people think like, oh, I did the work. It's like the work is gonna be done every day, because every day is going to bring more bull crap into the picture.
Yeah.
That more challenges, more tribulations, and more things. Oh my God, here goes. I was doing well. That's the cycles of the moon. We're in sync with the um circadian rhythms, like we're supposed to. So the moon astrology, there might be a Mercury retrograde, and we can't avoid that. We're gonna feel that energy, so we must be able to play with the energy, right? Like what you
Mhm.
said, and have fun with it. Say, hey, this is a journey that we're gonna learn for the rest of this plain life. And the point is that you continue and continue, so when you are ready, you die ready. Like you're like, and you're not gonna die. It's like, I'm ready to leave
Ascend.
avatar vessel. I'm ready to
Yeah.
like leave this avatar vessel.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's conscious.
yes, and feel like you can't be sad. Like, I don't want to leave it, or like if you have something that
Because
you left
yeah.
behind that was a debt that you didn't pay, a karma that you didn't pay, you're not gonna be ready, and it's gonna be painful. You can die in a painful death. You can prolong it. It's like when we're ready, because we're like, you know what? This was a beautiful journey. I learned so much. I cried so many tears. I hurt myself so many times. And I am happy with everything I learned. I love this body the way it is, and I'm ready. I'm happy. I'm ready to leave. And then you should be able to transcend, like those elder people who you see them that they die smiling, like just
Yeah.
they had a good life. They're like, I'm ready to go to paradise now. Like, then they're really gonna have the fun over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So I'd like to share with you my near death experience, and I'd like you to share yours with me too, because I heard you have one. So okay. So when I was 14 years old, I was uh, the what they say is like you were hanging out with the wrong group of people, but now where I am, I don't really perceive it as like the wrong group of people, but like necessary for my growth. Like those people were necessary for my growth. But for just simplicity's sake, I'll just say I was hanging out with the wrong people, and like I was really addicted to smoking weed. And it's funny because I encounter certain articles or like just certain talks, people talking about you can't be addicted to weed. I'm just like, I was addicted to it. Like, yeah. So and I formed this addiction, to cannabis. And the way I would sustain my addiction or support my addiction was I would like break into houses and whatnot. And then there was this one day when I broke into the wrong house, and like there was a guy inside, and then he came out and he had like a gun. He told me not to move. But the way I perceive it, I feel like this was really necessary because even though he warned me, I continued to move in the house. Like for some reason, I felt like this guy is not I know it was some stupid stuff, but I don't regret it because I see how it helped me. So I was just like, yeah, you got to integrate the shadow with the light. Yeah. So what's gonna call it? So yeah, I was just like, I didn't really listen to his warnings. I just continued moving in, and then he ended up shooting me. Like he shot me in my chest, and then like I just felt like the bullet went in, and then it was traveling through my system because it went here, and then it exited through like my lower back. Um, it was close to my heart chakra, and it was like so close to my spine. Like they told me I was like just so lucky because if it was so close to my spine, and if it was to hit my spine, I would have been paralyzed. Yeah. So and then like because it punctured my lung, I wasn't able to breathe. So what happened was like he shot me, and like my whole world just collapsed. Just stopped, and I was like in the now, the moment. And then I turned around and I just start running, and I like jumped the fence, and then I'm running, and then everything just starts getting darker, and I see like my friend, the one that I was with, and like he's running too, and then I like collapse to the floor, and like I'm on my knees when I collapse, and I'm on the ground, and I'm just like blood is just gushing out, and I'm just like trying to scream, but I can't because I don't have any air to like scream. And it was just all so terrifying. And then I see my friend, I was just like, help. Like I was trying to scream help, but I just couldn't. I felt like super hopeless. And what happened was, so then I laid down, and I was just like right there trying to cover my the side, like the wound, because blood was just gushing out like mad. And then after a while, like I wasn't able to breathe while I was on the floor. Like I was just suffocating from inside. Like I wasn't able to breathe. Like I think it was like the 3 minutes of it. It was hard for me, but after a while, I just gave in. I just came to peace with the fact that I couldn't breathe. It's insane because it was so peaceful. Like when I don't know, like when I wasn't able to breathe and when I was ready to die, because at first I was fighting it. Like I was afraid. I was just like, God, if you're there, I'm so sorry. Like I know I've like sinned a lot. Like I don't want to go to hell. Like please just give me another chance. And just asking for forgiveness. And my whole life just flashed in front of me, like my major life events, like experiences, all of that. It just all flashed in front of me. And I think I've been seeing the like from the like the date of birth, like I feel like that's how deep I went. Yeah, and then I was just like, you know what? I took responsibility and I just took responsibility. I feel like I was always responsible. Yeah, I think my whole life I was kind of always responsible for me, because I remember like even with with my health, like we always had medicine, but I would never take the medicine. Like I would always go online if I had a headache, or like if I had like a tummy ache, I would always go online and look for like alternatives, like herbs, and like I would always consume ginger and tea instead of that. So I feel like I was always responsible and take care of myself. But like yeah, so I was just on the ground, and then at this point I was just like, I'm gonna die. Like there's no point of resisting it. Just let it be. So I closed my eyes, and I was just like, oh, I couldn't take a breath, cause and then yeah, it was just so peaceful, and I was just like, I'm ready to go. Like I'm ready to go. Like whatever happens, like if I have to go to hell, then that's I was taking responsibility for my doings. I was like, that's me. Like I did that. I brought that upon myself. So I closed my eyes, but it was so funny because as I was closing my eyes, the ambulance, they had like came in and they rushed and then like took me to the hospital. And I remember like when I had like my closed my eyes and I just in a sense like go of my body, I ascended, and I went to this like place, you know, and it was just all light. Like I was just consciousness, like I had no form or anything, and it was just all white light. I think it was the sun. I don't know what it was, but yeah, you know, people say it's the sun. Yeah, so I guess it might have been that, the sun. So yeah, and then I was communicating. I feel like it was my higher self, and yeah, you know, it came, and then it was just like, so I think I asked what was going on, and it told me that like it was telling me that my mission, the reason for me going to Earth, my mission for going to Earth was not complete, you know, and I had a choice. Like I can either stay or I can go, you know, go back and complete the mission, or I can just stay at that place of, you know, just bliss and happiness. And I was just like, well, I gotta go back. Like my mission is not complete. And I was like, I definitely have to go back. Yeah, and then I came back to my body. And you know the crazy thing about this, because after a while I would think like I was kind of in denial, you know, because of like religion and everything. They tell you that this stuff doesn't happen, but it was just like all just so sync, because I was dead. Like I died for 3 minutes. So I died for 3 minutes. My heart had stopped beating, and like the doctors, you know, they operated on me and everything, and they tried to get my heart to start beating again, but it just wouldn't beat. So like they just gave up on me, and I had like my death time and everything, and they like went out and they told my mom. They were like, is that your son in there? She was like, yeah, and they're like, I'm sorry, but he didn't make it. He's dead. You know, it's crazy though, because so before that, my mom, she seen this lady that I later on, when I reunited with my twin flame, I go on to find out that it was her. You know that, because I guess, you know, like the thing with the twin flame energy is we're like connected at a soul level. Like we're as soulmates, or like, you know, souls that are your mates. The twin flame energy is like the other part of your soul, you know. So when I had gotten shot, my twin flame, she told me that that same day when I got shot, she just felt like this tremendous pain in her right hand, because I got shot in the right side of my body, and like, you know, that's what was affected. And yeah, so I was telling her about the story, and you know, like my mom, before all this happened, there was this lady. She came and she asked my mother if her son was in there. My mom was like, yeah. She was like, don't worry, he's gonna be okay, you know, and just all this stuff, that I was gonna be okay and not to worry. And then the doctors, they came and they told her that I was dead. And my mom was like, this can't be. It's crazy. I bring up my twin flame because, you know, she was just telling me about how, because before I met her, the way she connected with me is she seen like my introduction, you know, and I guess she just really resonated with my energy, so she connected with me. And then she was just telling me, she's a cancer energy, you know, so she's really connected to the, you know, her intuition, the dream world, you know, cancer and energy. So she gets a lot of messages through her dreams. So she connected me and she told me, oh my God, like I don't know who you are, but I had this dream about you. Like she was telling me how we're like in this room and we're smoking weed, you know, and that's what happened. Like before I broke into the house, I got high with my friend, and then we went and broke into the house. She was telling me like I was smoking weed, and then, you know, and then I just ended up passing out, and I seen dead, but she didn't want. She tried to conceal my she tried to conceal my innocence. Like she didn't. Hmm, I don't know. It's just like her experience and my situation are just so connected, you know. Like I guess she was saying that she was there with me in the hospital and whatnot. I don't know, but it was just like, because when my mom, she told me that there was this lady who came, like I imagined who it was, and it was like when I see my twin flame, that lady looked like her, you know. So it was just crazy because like yeah, that happened, and then, you know, they told my mom that I was dead, and then they told my mom that I was dead. Mom was like, this can't be happening. Like, this is not true. And then I feel like when I was up there in the sky, I was probably gone for 3 minutes, because this makes sense to me, because I was gone for 3 minutes and they thought I was dead. But then out of nowhere, my heart just started beating again. Like they tried to, you know, bring me back. Like they tried everything, but they just couldn't. But then just out of nowhere, my heart just stopped beating. Like it was like life returned to my body, you know? So yeah, this is what like cells, this is what has me convinced that the experience I had was indeed real, you know, because that connection with like me being dead and then me reanimating once again. Yeah, so and then
Wow. Wow, Soully, I cannot believe your story is intense. You, I can't, you got shot. That's intense. And just the everything about it, you gave me chills the whole time. Well, and just her seeing in the dream, it's just such a synchronicity, right? Like there's just no coincidence in life. Everything is a synchronicity.
Yeah,
And this
exactly.
shows that you are here for a huge um, for a huge mission. That is the sign, like very shamanic, that a lot of shamans believe in this a lot, that the most like powerful healers and teachers will experience near death, will die and come back. It's just to let you
Yeah,
know, like it's incredible.
yeah.
I think the story is
It's
incredible.
it's there to remind you. It's there to remind you who you are. Yeah.
It's a huge wake up call, and just to tell you, that's beautiful. It's incredible. Mine was not as intense, but it was intense at the same time. In my case, I was a very young, rebellious teenager. I must have been 19 years old. And back then, I was in a very dark place in my life. I was singing in rock bands, dancing in bars, and doing drugs. I actually had a very, very heavy drug addiction.
Yeah.
And everything can be addiction. Just to mention that, because you have mentioned how people say that you can be addicted to weed. Like you can get addicted to eating. Like addiction can be anything, right? It's like you can get, if you do too much of something, it just becomes an addiction. It
A
can be
habit.
exactly. So if it's detrimental, you see yourself doing it too much, then it is. So people say that no, you can't, but yeah, you can overdo the weed. Like I agree with you. And so when I was in that age, I was just really, I was for young making a lot of money and in the darkest places. And I had a car, and I used to partake in street racing back then. Yeah, I used to partake in street racing, so I was a badass. And I had the most powerful wake up call one day. And the funny thing is that I was not racing this day, and I was not in drugs or anything. I woke up in the morning. I was in a boyfriend's home at the time. I spent the night with him, and then I left. And I went to the highway, and this was in my island. Actually, this happened in the Caribbean island. And I was in the highway. It was early in the morning, and I was super reckless back then. I didn't use seatbelt back then. I had the music. I remember I had this like sort of like just techno type of music. Just it was just club music, hard, and I was just speeding my car. And I remember this car. That came by some guy, and I never forget, it was a red car. I can't think of which car it was. It was a red car, another racing car. And he stops by me while we're in the highway, and he's inviting me to hit it off. And very recklessly, we just started hitting it off. We're going up to like 80 to 100 miles an hour. And at some point, like I'm here, I was like coming like this close, and he tried to pass me and cut me off in front of me. And there's, those merges, concrete walls that they have in the highways. There
Yeah.
was one of those. And he tried to cut me off to get in front of me, but he was way too close, and my car was really nice. And he almost touched me, and I just made the mistake to just do it, like just go like this a little bit to avoid
Yeah.
it. And because I was going so fast, that was
Dang.
I have lost this control, that my
Yeah.
car started going like this in the middle of the highway, and I saw him fall. And it was just so weird, because the story that you just told me, you'll see how it connects everything. And that's why I get the chills, because as I started going like this, the car's just going everywhere, and even went up it went up in the merge wall, and I can see fire, like
Oh.
just fire sparkling, and I'm going like this, and I just like you, I saw my life, everything, like since I was a little girl, like this just flashed before me, like you said, it happened.
Yeah.
It flashed before me, and I'm like, wow, I'm about to die. Like I knew, like I was like, I'm gonna die, and
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I said, oh God, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna die right here, and I just I just risked it because my car was about to flip and I was going so fast I could have exploded. So there was like nothing but in the island there's these waters that are almost like sinking water, sort of like they sink down. There was that kind of water, like lagoons.
Like sand? Like
not sand, but water. It's like these waters that they have roots, and if things fall in there, it just drags you in with the roots.
yeah.
It's like kind of like lagoons. They smell kind of weird. There was one of those, and there was no trees or anything. But I said, "Fuck! I just have to move." I said, "I'm gonna take the gear, and a car is gonna smash me, and it's gonna be a horrendous." Like I can think of all this within a couple of seconds. Like it's gonna blow up, or I'm just gonna go out. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I did it, and within 1 second, I don't know what happened. Don't know. I went like this, and that was it. All of a sudden, I wake up, and I just open my eyes, and I'm like in this blissful, peaceful, like just like high, like, and I wasn't. I'm like, oh, what's going on? It's like really peaceful. And I open my eyes and I start little by little seeing myself. I almost hear like this sound that people describe in movies, like, la, you know, when they show
yeah.
I swear I must have heard something like angels. I'm like, what is happening? And when I look, I can see this field of beautiful green grass and these yellow little daffodil little flowers. And I remember this. And I'm walking and all I look up and I see it was the sun. Like you see it was the sun, Soully. The sun was there shining at me, like inviting me in it. Like, and I'm like this, like hypnotized with the sun. Like, oh my God, the sun just blew this peace on me. And that was it. I was like in peace and heaven. And I started walking in this field and there was wind blowing. I remember. And I thought I even heard like just birds and butterflies flying. And I'm just walking towards this. Like, I didn't hear voices, but it was a telepathic communication where I can hear the sun telling me, you can bite me. You want to come? Like, and I was like going. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing from the background, slowly, this music, very low, like, I hear something, I'm like, what is that? And I got distracted from the sun. And as it starts getting louder and louder, this song starts coming up, this like dance club song, boom, boom. And all of a sudden it got so loud in me that it just pushed, like I just felt a flash on my face. And all of a sudden I felt myself in the body. I hear the song really loud, and it was the song that I was playing when I crashed. It was still going after the accident. So I opened my eyes, and it was just smoke from the airbag. And I see this tree completely buried, like reaching my knee, like all the way in the car, destroyed the car completely, came up to the front, up to my knee. It could have smashed me and destroyed me. I didn't have a seatbelt. I could have flown out of the window. That tree came out of the nowhere. The car could have gone out into those roots and sunk me down. And I woke up and I couldn't breathe. And I can hear all this smoke and the glass shattered and the song going. And I started like going, I couldn't breathe. It was like I was losing complete, like my breath. And I can feel, all of a sudden I felt this, all I feel is like this hot liquid just like come down on my face like this.
Okay.
And I'm like, what is that? When I touched it, it was blood. So when I saw that, then I really panicked. I was like, I started panicking. I looked outside and I saw a bunch of people just parked up and just looking at me. Oh my God, like, but they're blurry. And they're just blurry. It's like I was really in like, I must have been like in an hallucination state.
Yeah.
And I started going like this with the car and they were like, no, don't move. And I'm like, I opened the car. I start running like crazy. Like that. And because the blood just really got to me. And they're like, get down. The ambulance is coming. Someone grabbed me. They were like, don't, just calm down, sit down. And then the ambulance came. And I remember they put me immediately, I couldn't breathe. And there was this nurse that asked me, he held my hand and he's like, what is your name? And I couldn't remember my name. I couldn't. And I started crying in panic because of that. I was like, I don't know my name. And he's like, calm down. They put the mask on me. They're just breathe in. You probably have a conscience, like, you know, they started wiping me. And I was panicking. I was like, wow, I lost my memory. I thought, like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what happened here. And then little by little, they just put the mask. And he said, breathe in a couple of times. Do you remember your name now? And it's like I had to think about it so hard, like a very hard question. I was like, oh my God, is it this? Is it Jay? Is it what? And then until JacQuel, yeah, I think it's, and I kind of started remembering. I didn't remember numbers of any kind, nothing. And they took me to the hospital immediately, and they wiped me up. I felt so like painful, like I felt like I fell out of a building, dropped. And I had burns all over, like I had burns on my face and on my arms from the airbag. The airbag, it explodes, and it has this chemical where it just burns you, like it burns your skin. It could actually burn you where it looked like I actually had a burn. It was terrible, like I was really messed up. And the doctor checked on my head, and he looked at me and he's like, wow, like something flew and busted on my head. And he said, you know what's interesting? I can see your skull. He said, I can see your skull. And the interesting thing is that a little bit stronger of an impact from whatever hit me, a little bit stronger, because he said I had a tiny bruise. He said would have cracked your skull, a fracture. And he said a lot of fractures exactly on the top can get people paralyzed. He said that you are so lucky. And I was like, oh. And I felt like all my bones were destroyed. I said, yeah, doctor, but he's like, I know you're gonna have to go to x-ray. I'm just looking at your skull, and this is good news, because we're talking about your spine, and you could have gotten paralyzed. So they take me to the x-rays, and I was curled like this. For some reason, I couldn't stop moving. I was just like this. And they wanted to do x-ray on my entire body. And they're like, you have to lay down and stretch. And I couldn't. Solely, I was in so much pain. I never felt so much pain. It was so strong as they had to bring me like four nurses and start stretching me from the arms and the legs. And I was screaming, resisting, because they put me in this cold x-ray thing, and I couldn't move my bones. And they were so worried. Everyone was very worried. They're like, wow. And they were looking, and I can hear them, like, she's got to have like ribs, or, you know, like she's gonna have maybe some broken ribs, probably broken arm or a leg. Yeah, like they were just really already thinking she is messed up. So they laid me down. They're like, we're gonna check your x-ray. We suspect you have several bones broken, but just relax. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they took my car, and it was like smashed like that, full of blood, and they put it like in the person I was living with at the moment, this lady, and they just threw it there, and they told them, what happened? Oh, we don't know. It feels like, we don't know, ma'am. We're just here to drop off this vehicle. And the person driving, well, we don't know if they died or made it. And they scared everyone too. It was like and I had those blood everywhere. But this was a very interesting thing for me, because the doctor came back, and he told me, they were looking at me. He was like, looking at me. He's like, I was like, what is it? I'm like, what is it? What's wrong with me? Like, I'm not gonna walk for a while. I'm thinking, wow, this is it. And I was a dancer back then and doing a lot of physical activity. He looked at me, he said, no, I'm just looking at you like that because you don't even have one bone broken, not even one. Wow. And he was like, I don't understand. And the impact that you had, like, it's just a miraculous thing. And I was like, what? I was like, but I feel like I'm broken. He's like, I know, but you are not. I'm like, that's incredible. And I tell you, Soully, that it took me, they gave me, you know, all sorts of pain meds. Can you imagine? They sent me home with antibiotics, with a bunch of pain, and I couldn't sleep for a whole week. I was crying every night in pain. Wow. Even with the pills, I was still crying in pain. The pain was so powerful in my body. Like, I felt like if I did break bones, yet I didn't. So it was a huge wake-up call for me, that, and I can never forget the sunlight and that experience. Like, it's just like what you said, you start seeing all the flash, it faces you, all the things you've lived, and you're like, I'm dying. You know that you're dying when you start seeing your life before your face. It's
Yeah.
so weird. And it was a wake up call that I was too young to process, but at the same time, I did learn something. For instance, I always used to see Bell after that. I never raced again, for sure. I never went speeding again. I learned that lesson well, but it was very interesting because I was hanging around with the wrong people, the wrong friends, at the very bad influence people, and it shows now because when that happened to me, no one came to see me, and that was
Yeah.
so weird. It made me feel so sad and weird. Like, and now I realize that that's how it is, and the fake life of the Matrix. Every friend is fake. It's not real. When you're just you almost died and they don't even come to see you. It's like
Yeah.
just your druggy friends that you just drink alcohol and party with, and that's not true friendship. And I learned that lesson really, really well. But it was an incredible, crazy experience too.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, it's amazing. It's crazy how it was synchronized. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. You know, with the when that happened and you started seeing who was your friend or the people and like just the shallowness of their friendship, this really helped you to go within. Like it helped you to discover yourself. So yeah, that's the good thing about it. The same with me. Because after this and when I like got out the hospital, I was like so behind with what society was doing. Wait. So how long were you in the hospital?
Oh yeah, I was in the hospital just for a day.
Oh
They
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
well, because I was there a full day, but they did not want to let me go until the results. But when they were like shocked with the results, they were like, you just need to be in bed all week, and here's all these medications. You don't have anything broken. You should be okay. You just
Yeah.
can't. But you must have been. How long were you?
I was in a coma for 1 month,
Oh
and
my
then
God, you were in it.
yeah, so I was in a coma for 1 month, and then for one other month, I was just in my bed, and so when I had gotten shot and it affected my lungs and I wasn't able to breathe, the oxygen was cut to my brain. So my brain it started expanding, and this caused like a brain damage, and certain areas of my brain where like our perception was like messed up. So I wasn't really able to see, but I wasn't able to see, I wasn't able to talk, and I couldn't even walk. Like I was just right there, just laying down, and I was just kind of forced to go within because I couldn't even see. So I was just so in my mind. Yeah. And then this was 1 month, and then I started moving, and then yeah, I started getting therapy. Like they started helping. I had to learn how to walk and everything. It's like with certain people when this happens, it's a literal rebirth, because like you're reborn and you have to relearn everything. Yeah,
Wow.
so I wasn't able to walk or anything, and then I was just slowly learning. And then another month I was just out, and then I was just at my home, and I was just kind of watching movies and whatnot because I couldn't really do nothing, like I wasn't going to school. And then I was just so in the victimhood, like I'll always blame this person. I was just like, he messed up my life, like why did he do that? And I was just so mad at him, and I would always cry, and I would always just go outside, sit down, and just start crying, and just get just let myself get into that like victim mentality and whatnot. And I didn't really care about my life because I felt like my life is shit. Like this guy fucked up my life, so who cares? So I went back to my old ways, and I just started smoking weed, not caring for myself or anything. And then this kept happening, and I think it was like 3 months, or I don't know, it was like a year later. I was smoking weed at school. So there was this one time I was in school, and I was smoking weed at this balcony. And cannabis is illegal over here. So and then the teacher comes out, and she sees me, and she pretended like she didn't know what I was doing. But so she asked, because like right when she came out, I tried to put the stuff, like I tried to hide it, conceal it. And then she asked me, she was like, what's your first hour? Because this was like before school started. And you see, with me, my sun and my moon, they're like conjunct. I have like a lot of things. So a conjunction is, it's like when two planets in astrology, when two planets are in the same sign. So my sun is in Gemini and my moon is in Gemini as well. and you see the sun is kind of like your external, it's kind of like ego, it's kind of how like you express yourself to the world, and your moon is like your mind, it's how you see yourself, it's the true you, the you that people experience. But with me, because I have this conjunction, it's like what you see is what you receive, and I have like a trouble, you know, like kind of concealing my thoughts. So it's like when she asked me where my first class was, I told her like directly, like there were no filters, and I was like, holy fuck, I never should have done that, because you know, I was like, now she's gonna call the principal and they're gonna come to my first hour and everything. And yeah, so yeah, so and then they took me to the office, and then I was talking to this cop guy, and my dad was there and everything. And yeah, my dad just shared with him how, you know, like I had gotten shot and I technically died and everything. And then the cop was just like, and then the cop, he was just like, wow, so it seems that you were given a second chance to life in life, and like this is what you're doing with it. Like you're literally wasting the second chance in life you were given. And then I kind of seen it like so, and then you know, I kind of like I was just like, this guy is so right. Like I was indeed given a second chance in life. Like what the fuck am I doing with this? Like this is so precious, you know. Because a lot of people die and they don't come back, but like I really need to get my shit together. So what I did was that same day, I made a promise to myself that I would start working on myself, no matter what it took, you know. And then like when I went there, I there was this book. It was called Self Discipline, No More Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline, or something like that. And this book, it came to me like a week before, but this was like when I was smoking weed and I didn't really want to do anything like hard work. So I was just like, the time will come. Like I know that this book is gonna help me a lot, but not now. But yeah, so that day I downloaded that book and I just watched these videos on like the chakras, like yeah, you know, like energy and everything. And then I started listening to this book because it was an audiobook and we were just talking about self-discipline. And there's just one one chapter where he talks about the importance of taking responsibility of like your emotions, and how when you take responsibility of your emotions and how you feel, you can't really be mad at yourself, you know, because he was talking about dispelling negative energy, like just dissipating it and just getting rid of negative energy. And he was talking about how if you take responsibility for like the harm that you think people did onto you, then you can't really be mad at yourself. Like you can't be mad at yourself. So, you know, I started taking responsibility and I just started seeing how me getting shot was not the guy's fault. It was all my fault. And it was when I did this that I start to heal, you know, that I start to see, wow, yeah, I got myself into this mess. Now I must get myself out. Yeah. And
Wow,
everything started aligning.
that's incredible. Like, wow. And you know, this is a topic that's been on for me for this whole week, the victim mentality. Funny you bring this topic up. It's like this is when like the victim mentality happens a lot, and that's when we don't heal because we're always putting the blame on other people for everything that happens. It's like, oh, this happened, it was your fault. And you know, we do this hate and we want to get revenge, right? And we get into this negative spiral where we're just like falling into just like a kunda buffer and rather than a kundalini. And the victim mentality, yeah, kunda buffer going down, kundalini up. And the victim mentality, it's very pathetic in a way. It's sad because you're just like always blaming others, and then just like it's like you're a victim, and we forget that we, you know, I love that, the taking responsibility for your own actions and your emotions, because when it happens a lot when people are like, oh, you hurt my feeling. Like, no, you hurt your own feelings from what I said.
Yeah.
You have full responsibilities of the way you feel. So you know what I said maybe triggered you in a way, and to bring something to the surface, why did that necessarily trigger you? Then you have to look within, because everything that happens in our lives, we create our own reality. Like we have to take full responsibility of our actions and stop blaming others and stop victimizing ourselves. And no, that's when the growth happens. Especially spiritual growth is so beautiful and mature when you're like, I fucked up, right? It was me. It was all me. I entered and violated that man's property. He warned me to move, and I moved. Like I was calling for it, you know, right? It's like you probably, you know, and it's so beautiful because when you accept that, then that's when the universe says, there you go.
You're ready.
Learn the lesson. Because people don't learn it, and then what happens is like when you don't learn it, continues to happen. And that was a huge wake-up call that some people lose their life, and it's sad because it keeps coming to smack them in the face so many, and they keep resisting until one day, like me too, like I could have died, you too, we could have died that day, but we didn't. And other people do, and it's so sad to see that. And we don't know, sometimes we're always like, oh, bad things happen to good people, but we don't know their soul and their karma. That's another thing we have to be open-minded about, that everyone has their own karma and journey and things to go through. And some people who lose their lives at an early age, and people think it's so like unfair, and right, like it's like, who are we to know what's the lesson to the people involved and everything? It's like the universe knows what it's doing, and we ought to go in the flow with the universe, because when we go against the universe, we try to go against it, it's resisting. And resisting what you resist persists, and it just comes back like a whiplash, like. So it's just beautiful to take responsibility and say, hey, I brought that all upon me, it was all my doing, and now I'm paying for it. I've accepted the moment that I just like, I know that everything is my consequences. I look at it, I'm like, oh no. And some people are like trying to make me feel that it's okay, it's not your fault. And I say, no, you know what? It's not that I'm trying to say it's my fault. Because it's like, we don't want to victimize yourself, but I'm taking full responsibility that was my action, and I could have said no. So for me to blame people, yeah, people can influence, but at the end of the day, we have the capability to make our own decisions.
Yeah. And no matter how, circumstances might seem, even in those scenarios where it seems like you're really not in control of what's happening around you, you're always in control of your emotions and how you react. And your emotions and how you react is like a big factor to the whole equation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, the reaction. That's what brings the emotions the most. Like, how are you reacting? How are you feeling? And I work this a lot with clients, and like heart-centered feelings. Like when someone like says something, like, how did you feel about it? Like, what did that make you feel? Like, oh, like that made me feel kind of weird. Like, and it's good to explore that, right? Like, oh, I felt some judgment. Why? Instead of like, what happened? Why you felt judgment? What it touched? What button touched you? And they're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, maybe it's just reminding me of something I went through. And then all of a sudden, this is what it is. Like, sometimes we see people like doing things, and we're like, I don't like that person. Like, I don't like, and you're like, I just don't like him or whatever. But why don't you like him really? Like,
Definitely.
maybe they do something that maybe your abusive father or someone abusive in your life, and it reminds you of that person. It's just like reminding you of that. So that's why you don't like him. So it's like, oh, okay, I know why the person is triggering me from an old wound that I have. So that's what it is. So I have to work on that. It's like another reminder, and then accept and take responsibility. Like, it's not this person. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just triggering me because you look like someone, or like you said something exactly like someone who hurt me. And I evidentially have not gotten over it. Right?
Yeah, definitely. It's all coming, rooting from within. All of it is coming from within. That's the thing. We have to, deal with our emotions. We have to be able to handle our emotions before anything can come in. Anything good could come into our life. We must bring good stuff. Like anything before anything externally good could come into our life, we have to bring, everything internally good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it all starts with the inner work.
The inner work, yeah, and the
Yeah,
integration. It's all an integration, just putting everything together and
totally.
mixing it up, and just seeing what the whole picture shows for us, and just putting in, and also like going through your journey and seeing how far you've come, and praise yourself, right? Like, hey man, not be hard on yourself. Like, hey, I'm getting there. I'm getting somewhere further in life. And some people are hard on themselves in
Yeah.
the beginning process. They're like, oh, I'm doing so slow, I really got to get it together. Sometimes I'm like, just stop and pause, look
Yeah.
back, How far have you gotten? Because even if you got a little bit farther, that's better than nothing.
Definitely. Yeah, people need to understand that we're human beings. We make mistakes, you know. Mhm.
That's what human is.
Yeah, and we also need to understand that our mistakes they don't really define us, but they make us. As in, like, through our mistakes is how we learn and grow. So it's like, don't be afraid to fail. It's the person who never fails will never go somewhere in life. It's only when you fail and fail and fail and fail do you start learning and you start growing, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely
You
beautiful.
know, the cool thing about me and you is I looked at your chart, and I know you told me it might not have been the right one, but I kind of feel like it is. Because,
You
you
have
know,
the November 10 chart.
I think wait, yeah, yeah, no, actually I did do November 10th. It's because I did two charts today, and my other friend, he was born on June 20th. So I think yeah, I think that's what I was referring to. Yeah,
And
because
funny thing
it's
is that those two numbers synchronize too. 10 and 20 synchronize a
yeah,
little.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, like your sun and your Mercury, they're your sun and your Mercury, they're in conjunct with one another. So your sun is in Scorpio and your Mercury is also in Scorpio. So this means that, you know, you're really good at expressing yourself and you're really good at going deep. Like, you feel like I can say that you're an extrovert. Mm. But
Mm,
then, you know, the Scorpio energy is so
I can be both.
introverted. Yeah, 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 yeah,
There's times where I
same.
can be kind. Well, actually, I am extrovert. Like I guess I'm very, but I can be like the Scorpio. I can take my time to cave myself in a cave and
Mysterious.
oh yeah, I'm a solitary for sure. Like I'm very, it's weird. I have the like both things. Like, like I love to socialize and be around people. And you're right, I'm great like with communication. But
Mhm.
then there's my times when I introspect and I go like on a hibernation where I don't even want to talk to people. I'm just there integrating. And I actually enjoy my solitude quite often.
And that makes complete sense, you know, because your moon is in Sagittarius, and when the Sagittarius energy, is it your moon in Sagittarius?
Well, I felt like I had fire in my chart, because for a water sign, I can be very like fiery in a sense. Like
Like
I've always been very independent. I've always been very courageous and powerful. Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that comes from the male energy.
That's your Mars in Sagittarius. But yeah, with your moon, when you know the moon is the mind, it's your internal, and it's like with the Sagittarius energy, you really resonate to knowledge, and I feel like probably your whole life you wanted to learn, but it was also I felt like Sagittarius energy, you kind of felt like you already knew it all. Like,
Like some arrogance come when the ego back in the day, and yeah, I know it all.
yeah, like you can't tell me nothing I already know, you know. Yeah. But also with the Sagittarius energy, they either invest their energy all the way or they don't invest at all. So yeah, yeah, I can see how you enjoy your solitude because it's like when you put your mind into it, you go all the way in it, and that's what you're doing, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I put all
yeah,
my mind. I am like, and the one thing about Scorpio energy is the passion.
yeah, very
Oh my
passionate.
God, I'm so intense in everything I do. Like everything that I do and I get involved in is gonna be an intensity. Like just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everything. And with intensity, and I can see with the Sagittarius energy, the side of me that loves to explore and adventure. And I'm an
yeah,
adventurer. Oh my God, I love to
yeah.
get out into adventures.
Yeah, you really are. So your moon and your Mars, they're conjunct. So yeah, you know, when there's a conjunction, I think I explained this earlier, but it's like two planets to get together and they're working as a team. They're working for each other, you know? So your moon is in Sagittarius and your Mars is also in Sagittarius. So it's like your thought, your mind, and the things that you do, they're in sync with each other. You know, it's like when you want to do something, I feel like you go and you actually do it, you know?
Yeah, you're right. When I put
Yeah,
my mind into something, I'm very determined. I've always been, actually. I've been very independent since early age. I've already like
yeah,
got my car, my things together.
yeah,
But on the other hand, and this is the Scorpio energy sometimes, I have fallen into like depression, before
yeah,
my
yeah,
where I just like cave myself and just become like this has happened to me where I fall into procrastination, that I feel like, you know, I'm ready to do something and I'm like, why am I procrastinating? I'm just like in that, you know, dwelling in that Scorpio, like profound moment of like darkness until I get back into my fire. And I'm like, yeah, very determined. Definitely a very, very determined person.
Yeah. So my Mars is also in Sagittarius, so I can relate with you on this. You know, with us, Mars and Sagittarius, we always have to apply our knowledge. You know, it's like when we learn something, we don't just sit there and just know that we know. Like we actually have to apply it and see if it's true. But also, you know, because the Sagittarius energy is all about wisdom, but also we're like really ballsy. You know, like we're just do things. Like we're just like I don't know, we're just like fire, you know, we'll just do things kind of to prove people wrong in a way. Like we're just like we're just like because with the Mars with Sagittarius energy, it's also it either goes big or it doesn't go at all. So it's like if we're invoked, then we're gonna go all the way in, you know, we're gonna do it.
All the way in,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. Because it can
yeah.
be an energy of like, you know, becoming too arrogant with it, like what you were saying. But it's just incredible when it just gives you that, like that get going little engine thing, right?
Yeah. But the Sagittarius energy is also indeed really rebellious and independent, you know, it's like I don't need you. Yeah.
Rebellious.
Yeah, so very independent as well. Yeah,
Very
and
independent.
adventurous. Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, super flirtatious, and Sagittarius, super flirtatious, and they no one can control them.
Yeah, you know, Scorpio and Sag, because with the Scorpio energy, it's like they're sexual, and the thing with that is it's like they just resonate their sexual energy. You know, it might not be like projected to someone, but that person might receive it and they might think you're projecting it to them. But it's like that's just kind of how like the Scorpio energy is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong and it can come across in many different ways. Like, whoa, like it's true. I have learned to harness that and like just like control it. Like so, you know, so that people don't get too intimidated and like
Yeah, that's good. Wow, that's amazing. So you were born 11th, 10. It's like, 1.
yeah, it's so interesting because the following day, yeah, is a lot 1 1, so and 10 is completion. So yeah, it's an interesting number too. Like I love the whole number synchronicity, so I always wanted to do the chart and see what my rising sun and the moon, because you are so knowledgeable with it. It's incredible. Like there's so much to do, and it shows a lot of our personality. It's great to be knowledgeable with astrology and numerology. It
Yeah.
just makes sense. But you know, it just makes sense. It makes life easier. Ever since I'm getting more into it, I feel like I can manage more my emotions and work with it. Be like and use it to my like to my favor. Like I do moon magic depending on the moon where it's at, and like, oh yeah, like, you know, there's, I don't
Yeah.
know, moon is square on and Uranus or something, right? And like, you know, that no wonder I'm like just moody and just snappy or whatever. It's like to know what's happening in the energies. It just allows us to work with it, and also not to be so hard on ourselves, like, oh, why am I so moody, or like why people are so bitchy. Like, you know, maybe the energy is like that and it's calling for
Yeah.
just, you know, kind of like step back, don't go out and socialize too much and energies like that, and just work within. It calls for introspect. And that's the energy that calls for healing. And then when this energy is beautiful and Neptune or Venus and the social, that's when you go out and get together. Like, I mean, you can, sometimes you can't help it, but you have to deal with how it's going to clash with other spirits, right? Like we have to be mindful of that. We're all energy, and we're just bounce from each other.
Yeah. It's amazing because your true node is in Leo, and what the true node is, it's technically kind of like it's ultimately kind of like what you came here to learn. So yeah. No, I can't really, go into detail with that, but in simple terms, it's kind of like what you want, what your soul is trying to learn, like what it came here to develop. So with it being in Leo, you kind of came into this, you came here kind of to learn to truly express yourself and to truly be, you know, like you unapologetically. So with the true note, it's like this can also tell you your true note is always going to be opposite to yourself, because there's north and there's south node. Your true node is also, your north node is also always going to be opposite to your south node, and your south node is like the you know, the lessons that you received in your past life. So Leo is opposite to Aquarius, so this means that, you know, connecting with people comes easy to you. Being like, you know, just intelligence is so easy to you. Applying knowledge also is just so easy to you. But you know, it's cool, it's interesting as well, because like there's certain things in your chart that help you to achieve this goal. Yeah. But you know, I'll do your reading after this talk. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you.
it's just I love how knowledgeable you are with it, and it just makes so much sense, and it's just beautiful. There was a question that I had for you, when while you were talking, and it flew out of my head.
Oh man, the
It was
bird.
one of those, like I had a really good one, and it went choo choo choo. I was like, okay, fly back to me at some point.
Yeah, okay. Okay, interesting. So how long have you been you know, on this like spiritual journey?
Like soul wise, who knows, right? Like we don't really
Right.
know how long we've ever been here. Like I feel like I've been in the spiritual journey for a long time, to be honest. Like I feel like there's some lifetimes, like what you were talking about, the wisdom and stuff. Like I feel like, and especially when you go through a lot of karma, pain, like there must have been, you know, some lifetimes there and some karma that I've been coming back or something. So I really feel like this is it. Like this is the lifetime where I am going to ascend. I really feel like, and I'm so happy because I've reached the forgiveness. Like, oh my God, like I'm like, you know, I've learned to forgive the people who, like, even anyone who ever abused, like everything. And it was so hard because there's people who die, like they're ill, they get to an age and they're like, I'll never forgive this person. And when you die like that, you know, it's like sometimes it takes a lot of lifetimes to be in this journey. But I don't know, like it depends, like, you know, the growth that you take it, like, you know, it took me a little bit, like a while of learning, like someone like you who's like rapidly, you know, you're growing into this beautiful awakening because it's just spreading, it's spreading so much, and I'm liking it. I see people awakening everywhere, and I
Yes.
see the children now and the youth being a lot more smarter in that terms than they used to be years ago. So I'm seeing the changes and the people growing, and of course there's the matrix side of life is they're just hitting hard on us, right? Like to make sure that people stay, you know,
Stay asleep and docile.
they're just pushing agendas like crazy on TV, billboard, like more than ever. It's like because they know that we're awakening. They
Yeah.
know. So yeah, who knows? It's like I feel like, you know, the wisdom that people speak, it just really shows that, you know, how long you've been in this journey. Sometimes it doesn't even matter, like, you know, your age. Sometimes it's like your spiritual soul. It's like you talk to some people that can, you know, don't know anything, like what you were mentioning about people who haven't ever experienced anything crazy, right? Like never done drugs, never died, they never like been beat up, they never like just perfect life. It's like what can you, like you can't relate to anything that people say. First of all, it's impossible because this world is meant for us to get, you know, go through the roller coaster. It's just like inevitable. But the people who have, like they've been children and stuff or whatever, they can't relate and they don't have that wisdom and that experience to be able to teach this and pass it on. And when someone comes like that went through that, you know, that we can like say, hey, I've been there too. Like it's so great to relate to other people like you and me. Like we know what it is to die, right? Like and see
Yeah.
the sun, that beautiful sun that's like, wow. Like, you know, sometimes you have an experience and everyone has their different journey, but I feel like the more bullshit you go through and more experience, it just makes you even more wiser. Like you're like, wow, you don't understand. I can just sit here like the Indians do a little fire. Let's do story time every weekend, because you know these elders, right? They have so much in the shaman, so much stories and wisdoms, like so many lifetimes of experiences.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel you on that. I agree. Like yeah, I was actually asking, like on in this life, but I agree with you. Like me too. Like my whole life, I feel like I've been awoke, and it's just been like gradual awakenings. Like there have been certain times when the time wasn't ready for me to be at a certain consciousness, and I had to be at that consciousness to be where I was at and to learn the lessons I needed. Yeah, but I feel like my whole life I've been awoke or whatever. I hesitate because this makes me think maybe we're all awake to a certain extent. Yeah, I think that might be it.
Oh, we're born awake. The problem is that where do we, when we land here, land or come here, like we're already like like super magnificent beings, already woke and magical. It's just the problem is like when we start, like where are we growing up? What are they teaching us as soon as we're here? Like, we start watching too much TV as children, and this is when we're all empathic. That's why children are so intuitive and they can see spirit. So can animals, because they live in the moment 100%. They're super empathic, and innocence is a beautiful thing. So when we lose innocence, especially as we watch indoctrinating TV, and we start just eating things GMO and drinking the fluoride and calcifying the pineal gland and detoxing your auric field, and just that's when what happens is like the pituitary gland gets calcified, so your third eye starts like diminishing, and you start not seeing things as they really are, but there's this fake reality created in front of you. So that's what happens. Like then we go into like a hypnosis, MK Ultra, or
Yeah.
whatever, and then so we are put, basically we're born awake and then we're put into a hypnosis state, like the blue pill and the red.
Yeah, yeah,
On the red pill or the blue. Some people choose to take the blue pill
definitely.
and go to sleep. They don't want to know. They're like, you know what? I just want to have fun, have sex, drugs, and alcohol, and they rather have that life and not know anything. They think that's fun, and they choose to just go to sleep and stay in this naive like world and not knowing and not ascending. It's sad, but they have the potential in there that you can wake it back up. It's like you don't remember. It's almost like going through this,
Yeah.
us through this.
Yeah, and it's like with that aspect of, people wanting to stay asleep, the universe isn't really, in a sense, kind of against that, I want to say, because it's like once you die and you can reflect on yourself, it's your soul that wants to do it. It's your soul that's like, oh crap, like I gotta go back and do it. So it's like you going back and you falling in again. The universe in a sense will try to lift you up, but it's not, because I guess in a sense the universe feels like everything, because indeed everything that happens is to awaken you in one way or another.
Yeah, like whether we're born here and we have a mission. That's just bottom line. There's a path, but it's not like we're here. Here's your manual. Like it's like we're like you have your manual is your pilot inside of your brain, right? It's like figure it out and see how like strong and smart you are, what your willpower and all of this, and so we're meant to find that out, and it's a journey to find it out, like our true purpose. And as babies, I believe that we already know that purpose of ours, but then they put us in school, and school is another indoctrination where the teachers put in your head, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a doctor? You want to be a pilot? And the little kid, 3 years old, I want to be an astronaut. Like a little child doesn't know what he wants to be. He wants to play.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to be a human
You're
being.
already indoctrinating it's called programming. You're already programming in this child, oh, you know what you want to be like, and they're like growing up, I want to be an astronaut, and they don't even know who they are. It takes a whole lifetime to grow up and know you. Like you're just a baby growing up, like let me discover myself. Let me explore what are my talents. what are my turn-ons, what are my turn-offs in life, like,
Definitely, yeah.
right? Like, what do I like, what like gets me like sparked, like what brings me bliss and excitement, and what just doesn't resonate. So when we put something in a child that is 5 year old at like in kindergarten, like, oh, you want to be a doctor because daddy is a doctor too, it's like you're creating a false person. And this is when the false persona grows up, and later in time you're like, wow, you realize, you know, you made a career, you wasted your time going through this school and paid, and then you change. It's like you see these change of careers in people, like, oh, that's not what I wanted, it's not, it wasn't really me. But at the same time, the universe is so mysterious, right? Full of mystery, and it's mystical, and it puts us, it's just going to be perfectly for what it is. Maybe we chose the wrong thing because that's what we chose in the moment, and we had some lessons to learn in that path, you know? So it's a mystery. Life is a beautiful mystery, and the most beautiful thing is just to be in the wondrous of it. Like, you know, like, to know that it's a mystical mystery ourselves, like even us as organic specimen, it's like we're so amazing, right? Like we're just amazing creation.
Yeah. Creation and the creator. Yeah.
Creation, the creator, creation, it's all about creativity at the end.
Yeah,
That's why
definitely.
we're sexual beings. The people, what we talked about before, the misconception and the twist
Yeah,
about
the twist.
sexuality is
Yeah,
that.
the sexual energy. It's the energy of creation, you know? That's why we create through our sexuality, and it's all about how you utilize it.
Mm-hmm. It's misused, very misused, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
and the powers that be knows that we are sexual creatures, and they take advantage to precisely like trigger you there, you know what I mean, by putting this perversion and this just just perversion, sexual perversion specifically, to damage people's mind so that they don't utilize their creative energy for what they need to use it, because if not, then you will independent yourself, and then you deprogram yourself from the
Yeah.
plug yourself from the matrix. So they want to keep us there, depleting our sexual energy with watching pornography, the filth of pornography, and like in masturbation, we're just like depleting your sacral energy that is made to create a baby or to create something magnificent.
A
Like,
metaphysical
oh,
baby. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
a metaphysical baby.
this has to be spread so much to the youth so they understand that, because people have this misconception, and it's so sad because even physicians and sometimes like they shrinks, and you know they give the wrong information, and they say how these things are so healthy for you, like, you know, they just, now some doctors,
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately would like tell you, oh, do this, like something that's detrimental for you, this is good for you, like just masturbate, it's good for you to release. Like, no, you're releasing your creative energy. If you want to release, go sit down on your knees and cry what you suppressed, like what you're really looking for, because depleting your energy unnecessary is not going to fulfill. If anything, you're going to feel drained and depleted, because there haven't been. The beautiful thing about making love with your another person is
Hmm.
that there's no depletion, because you both
Yeah,
are
definitely.
energy back to each other. And
Yeah.
beautiful, there's no depletion there. It's like
Mhm.
it's just the most beautiful thing. So like, and it's important that it's meaningful, and people do it like animals, you know what I mean, too, like,
Bunnies.
yeah, you know, they're just hopping around like bunnies, and they don't think that, you know, there's things that we relate with the animal kingdom that I believe we do, but I don't think that we're meant to just hop around like and have sexual, like just get someone so close to your aura and your person, you don't even know them well. They can have a lot of bullshit, a lot of soul ties that you bring upon your own spirit, and you realize, what's wrong with me? I feel like I'm cursed, like, because you sleep around with so many people. And you know, I believe that the animal kingdom is different in that sense, and that's why we have a consciousness, because otherwise there would not be things as STDs. I mean, the animal kingdom doesn't get STDs. Like you
Get
see,
no diseases.
not
No.
like you see a
Yeah.
dog, like, oh, my dog, I took him to the doctor, he has some herpes that he caught from the street. Like, you know, that
Yeah.
doesn't happen. It's like they're meant to do that, but we human beings are different. We're meant to be, it's like we can't be. That's the difference between the animal kingdom and the human, and you know, the intelligent beings of human beings. So, and this the waste of creative energy, because the creative energy is what makes us powerful beings. When we start utilizing it and we step into our willpower, we become entrepreneurs. We don't fall into the program. We're not going to work. You're already doing your own thing. You got your program going, your show. You're like, oh, you know what? I want to help the world. I'm going to do this alkaline to release show. And you know,
alkaline to realize.
Yeah, alkaline. So I know that they had the release, right? There was one called
release. Really.
There's another one, or that's a different name?
It's just called alkaline to realize.
Oh, is that what it is? Alkaline to realize?
Yeah. Alkalize your body to realize your mind, I guess.
Yeah, got it. So yeah, you know, it's just the same thing. So, you know, and that's just the creative energy. Like, you know, we're meant to just, when we do that, we explore different things, we start working and sharing energy with others, and then we don't need to make these corporations rich unnecessarily. Well, we're not
definitely
growing in our life. We're just like little robots, like peasants and pawns in a chess game.
Drones being utilized by the elite.
Yeah, we're all queens and kings and goddesses.
Yeah, kings and queens and goddesses. But you know, they don't want us to awaken to our power, because then they can't utilize us.
We're slaves. You know, slavery, people talk about slavery back in the days when they actually people like, and you know, literally slave, or they had them by the neck and they stamped them, they whip them. And they think we're done with it, but we're not done. We are still in slavery. It just got worse and more covert.
It's all mental now.
Back then there was slavery against people. It was more racist, like especially with the African Americans and back in the days. Now it's worldwide, like, and everyone is enslaved. It's just a covert, intelligent slavery.
Yeah,
like, we can't enslave you physically anymore. How can we enslave these people? Oh, with the mind. So they put programs out there to program, like, same thing. It's still slavery. So it's our job to break from the spell.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like because people are also still tax slaves, you know, because it's what they use you. They tax you on everything. Like, you work hard and then they just go on and take your money.
Don't even talk about that topic, because I'm so against that one. I don't even like. Oh my God, it just really upsets me that we as human beings have allowed that, because we are allowing that kind of shit. Like, we allow it because it's like, knowing now that it's coming out how it's actually not only illegal. It's like, it's an illegal act. It's a terrible illegal act that is happening, and we're just allowing it. It's a form of they're bullying us, and just one way or the other. Like, well, you're gonna just do this, or it's just, I just hate that. Like, I gotta say, like, I'm not for that one at all.
Yeah, well, JacQuel, all right. Yeah, JacQuel, I've really enjoyed talking to you. You know, this was amazing. Love your energy. Yeah.
You're a beautiful human being, and so brilliant and full of soully spirited.
Full of soul and spirit. Who knows if that makes sense. Yeah, but you know, it was a long time coming, a long time wait for this talk, but it was totally worth the wait, you know.
Absolutely. Let's do it again. Maybe I'll bring my snake Egypt next time, and I'll go somewhere else where my baby's not so loud and disruptive. Be next to my African friend.
Yeah, so your snake is just in your room, you know, doing its thing.
He's in my room slithering, and sometimes I lay there and he'll just come by and cuddle with me. It's an incredible relationship. And maybe in another video with him, I'll explain this beautiful relationship and how I've brought up this snake to be a cuddly creature, like a little puppy.
Amazing. Well, yeah, so this has been, you know, the Alkalise to Realize talk show. And if you're interested in finding us, you can find us on YouTube at the Alkalise to Realize talk show, or also on Facebook at the Activation of the Philosopher's Stone. Well, this is Soully signing out, and
Thank you.
Thank you
so
for being here.
much.
Yeah.
Namaste.